Hello, dear friends, and today I would like to talk about grinding the ceramics on an implant on the example of a small clinical case. If you have such a situation and you have to do this in the oral cavity. So, take a look at a small but pretty interesting clinical case. We do a bridge work on implants in the upper right quadrant. Also, you can see here is a vital canine, but looking ahead, this canine has weak periodontal tissues and the tooth is weak itself, so we cannot use its full potential. The seventh tooth is also a separate tooth, so we need to do prosthetics to canine. Teeth 1.1 and 1.2 are vital. We don't do anything. Tooth 1.3 needs a crown. Implant of 1.4, tooth 1.6 needs a small bridge, and 1.7 is vital. If we look closely to another side, we can see chips, and this is a result of bruxism, which means there are a lot of nuances while providing treatment to this patient. Which dental equipment do we need? We need a carbon copy paper, and you see some devices. We use an articulator, for example, burrs, a PI device for determining the position of the lower jaw and the TMG, and so on. But in this case, we have no need to use all of them. This is an occlusal scheme. It is used for patients with class 1 or natural. The idea of this scheme is to represent that stem cusps occlude in the central fossa. And you see this scheme represents three cuspidal contacts, so that 3 points which occlude with the opposite ones. Also, here is a relationship type where each tooth has two antagonists, and it seems to be the most optimal. This is an ideal scheme, but not always we have the opportunity to achieve this goal, as the patient might have some tooth displacements or skeletal bias, such as distal bite or class 2, and here must be used another occlusal scheme, and we'll definitely discuss this in a special video. You can clearly observe how cusps occlude in the fossa. Firstly, we install a bridge. Now I'll not focus on this for long. Control adjustment. In this case, we used ankylosing implants, and then we start taking the contacts. First step is using thick copy paper, 100 microns. It means the thicker paper, the more colored is contact, although our primary task is to remove thick contacts. And in accordance with the occlusal scheme, it is very important for us to know how the contacts occlude. We look at holding contacts, and it's not well to have contacts on the areas which will have chips in future. It is guiding cusps, protective cusps, or lower lingual cups, and so on. And we have a separate course dedicated to selective grinding and a webinar which you always can order, where all the details of this issue are handled. But now we are limited with a quite small case, which illustrates us the overall picture. So we see the occurrence of the thick contacts on the bridge on implants. At the same time, we do not see the contacts on the patient's tooth. Dense contacts on implants are not good to be. You know it's clearly that teeth immerse in the periodontal ligament while chewing, but the implants are set tough. Also, if the patient eats a hard meal, with time, implant will be higher than other teeth, and all load will be on it. Therefore, we start grinding. The second step is the antagonist assessment. In this case, the patient allows us to grind her all dental bridges so we can see occurring contacts or lingual cusps. It doesn't make us happy, so we start to eliminate them. We provide grinding and you see that I tried to build the contacts on the step cusps of the mandible, and part of them are trying to transfer to the maxilla to its stem cusps. After grinding and using 8 micron copy paper, you can see the occurring of the contacts in the area of stem cusps, like on the occlusal image. Although the vital teeth have dotted contacts, but the load is concentrated on the dental bridge and implant, which is non-satisfying. Again, we remember about the possibility of tooth immersion in the periodontal ligament. Here you can see the contact had shifted buccally in the area of tooth 1.7. It is associated with the fact that the lower tooth arch is widened and she has a tendency to crossbite, so that we can't grind all. And that's the reason to participate in the course of selective grinding, because there we determine the frames of our technique, where we can grind, where we have to do a crown, and if it is a tooth displacement, so that we cannot set a crown, we have to provide an orthodontics, but all this we do before grinding something. Next step, checking the eccentric contacts. That is, our first step was checking the tough contacts with the use of 100 or 40 micron copy paper. The second step is using thin 8 micron copy paper while achieving more tough contacts on the patient tooth. Implants must have at least 40 microns and fewer contacts. How to do it? You take the copy paper and cut along for the one tooth, and it must be held with patient teeth, not the implant. Then 40 micron copy paper, and it must be held both with patient teeth and the implant, so that you understand that tightness on implants is within 40 microns. Next, we take 100 micron paper and ask the patient to provide a lateral protrusion. Here it's clear that canine should guide, but look closer. There is a lateral incisor and canine guidance, that is tooth 1.2 that we haven't touched, and 1.3. So we take 8 micron copy paper and provide eccentric movements. There are tough enough contacts on tooth lateral incisors, or to say modernly 1.2, and on 1.3. And group tracks occur on plumbers. We start sequentially to grind the eccentric contacts with the burrs. In this case, I grind tooth 1.2 because I don't want to transfer all the load to other tooths. We can see the contacts on the lower incisors as well, and here are formed tooth wear areas. So that is how it works in the oral cavity, and we grind it a bit to form the track we needed. Here is an empty, and it doesn't satisfy us, so we work it out, making the track more straight in the way to correct the gap. Please take a look at the X-ray canine. There are apical deformations and periodontal problems. This tooth was retreated. And it's understandable that if we make clear canine guidance, which is often required for fixed prosthetics, we probably lose this tooth. Not the crown we made, but it can swing, or some complications can develop as the tooth is weak itself. Therefore, in our final work, I keep the so-called group function guidance. Some tracks go by the teeth 1.2, canine and premolar, to tough and steadily. Thus, I redistribute the load on the patient tooth. On the canine, I've done prosthetics with the understanding that this tooth is weak, and on the plumbers on implants, despite the fact that eccentric loads on the implants aren't the good variant. So you see such a small example, but it shows while many nuances which can occur even in small clinical cases. So, dear friends, if you have any questions related to this case, I'll be glad if you write it down so that I could answer you. Our course, Prosthetics and Implants, contains all detailed information on this theme as well. Also, we have a very interesting course on selective grinding, which allows us to determine the limits of this method and how to act, as we cannot do grinding always. Sometimes we must add something. We have many webinars as well, and I do hope that all of these can help you to improve your work and cooperation with the patient. Thank you very much. Subscribe, like, we're waiting for you at our courses. Let's move on together. See you.